Book of Chronicles chapter 28. Welcome back to Bible Breakdown. Today we're reading 2 Chronicles 28. This chapter marks one of the darkest periods in the history of Judah. King Ahaz rejects the Lord and embraces idolatry, leading both himself and the nation into deeper sin. As a result, Judah suffers defeat after defeat. Yet even in the middle of judgment, we see God's mercy at work through faithful people who choose compassion over revenge. This chapter reminds us that turning away from God brings destruction, but His mercy is still available to those who will listen. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem for 16 years. Unlike his ancestor David, Ahaz did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Instead, he followed the ways of the kings of Israel. He made metal images for the Baals. He burned incense in the valley of Ben-Hinnom and sacrificed his children in the fire, following the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. He offered sacrifices and burned incense at the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. Because of this, the Lord his God handed him over to the king of Aram. The Arameans defeated Ahaz, took many of his people captive, and carried them to Damascus. The Lord also handed Ahaz over to the king of Israel. Pekah, son of Remaliah, killed 120,000 soldiers of Judah in one day, because Judah had abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors. Zikri, a mighty warrior from Ephraim, killed Maaseiah the king's son, Azrikam, the officer over the palace, and Elkanah, second in authority to the king. The Israelites also took 200,000 captives from Judah, including women, sons, and daughters, and carried away a great amount of plunder to Samaria. But a prophet of the Lord named Oded was there. He went out to meet the army returning to Samaria and said, "Because the Lord, the God of your ancestors, was angry with Judah, he gave them into your hand. But you have slaughtered them in a rage that has reached heaven. Now you intend to make the people of Judah and Jerusalem your slaves. But are you not also guilty of sins against the Lord your God? Listen to me. Send back your fellow Israelites whom you have taken captive, for the Lord's fierce anger rests on you." Then some of the leaders of Ephraim, Azariah son of Jehohanan, Berechiah son of Meshillemoth, Jehizkiah son of Shallum, and Amasa son of Hadlai, stood against those returning from the war. They said, "You must not bring these captives here. You are proposing to bring guilt upon us. Our guilt and our sins are already great enough, and the Lord's fierce anger is already against Israel." So the soldiers gave up the captives and the plunder in front of the leaders and the whole assembly. The men who had been named took the captives and used the plunder to provide clothing for all who were naked. They gave them sandals, food, drink, and olive oil. They cared for everyone who was weak and put those who could not walk on donkeys. Then they returned all the captives to their fellow Israelites at Jericho, the city of palms, before going back to Samaria. At that time, King Ahaz asked the kings of Assyria for help. The Edomites had again invaded Judah, defeated its people, and carried away captives. The Philistines had also raided towns in the foothills and the Negev of Judah. They captured Beth-Shemesh, Aijalon, Gederoth, Sokoth and its villages, Timnah and its villages, and Gimzo and its villages, and settled there. The Lord humbled Judah because of King Ahaz, for he had encouraged moral corruption in Judah and had been very unfaithful to the Lord. Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came to Ahaz, but instead of helping him, he caused him trouble. Ahaz took some of the treasures from the house of the Lord, the royal palace, and the officials, and gave them to the king of Assyria, but it brought him no help. Even during this time of trouble, King Ahaz became even more unfaithful to the Lord. He offered sacrifices to the gods of Damascus, who had defeated him. He said, "Since the gods of the kings of Aram have helped them, I will sacrifice to them so they will help me." But those gods became his downfall and the downfall of all Israel. Ahaz gathered the furnishings from the house of God and cut them into pieces. He shut the doors of the house of the Lord. He made altars on every street corner in Jerusalem. In every town of Judah, he built high places to burn sacrifices to other gods, provoking the Lord, the God of his ancestors, to anger. The rest of the events of Ahaz's reign, from beginning to end, are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel, Ahaz rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of Jerusalem, but he was not placed in the tombs of the kings of Israel. His son Hezekiah became king in his place. Lesson of the day. Today's chapter reminds us that running from God never solves our problems. Every time Ahaz faced difficulty, he looked everywhere except to the Lord. He trusted idols, foreign nations, and false gods that had no power to save him. Instead of finding help, he experienced greater loss and led the nation farther away from God. In contrast, the leaders of Ephraim who listened to the prophet Oded showed mercy to the captives from Judah. Even in a chapter filled with judgment, God showed that he still desired compassion, repentance, and obedience. When life becomes difficult, the safest place to turn is not toward the world's solutions, but toward the Lord. He alone is faithful and able to save. If you're enjoying these Bible breakdowns and want to support what we're building, you can check out our merch at BibleBreakdownsDaily.com. It's just a small way to carry the message with you. I'll see you in the next chapter.